Hello everybody, are you working hard? I'm hardly working, and today we are here inside of my completed file of Dream Drop Distance. This is obviously before I've started recording. This was a run that I did on my own, and I did it because I wanted to make this quick, well, not so quick, but I wanted to make this recap video before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. I'm not so sure when this is going to be uploaded, but I'm hoping that I'll have it up soon, and obviously before I start streaming Kingdom Hearts 3. Did I say 2 comes out? I definitely meant 3. I'm not very prepared. I'm kind of making this up as I go. So hopefully that adds my own little unique touch to it. So here I'm going to be going through each of the different games. So obviously, lots of spoilers ahead. This is only for people who want to be caught up on the events of the storyline of Kingdom Hearts, not for the people who are going to be watching the games as I release them. I realize that 3 is coming out long before the rest of these games are going to be uploaded by me, because we're still in the middle of 2, and then we'll have Birth by Sleep, and then obviously Dream Drop, which we're in right now, but I don't want to wait to play 3 because I'm super excited for it. Anyway, let's get started. Well, actually, hold on. So my plan is I'm going to open up each one of these and read through the chronicle that's provided, and then if there's any other details I think need to be added or my personal opinions, I will throw them in before moving on to the next one. Like I said, I'm not so sure how long this video is going to be. Probably going to be longer than I want it to be, but, you know, Kingdom Hearts has a lot of games, and there's a lot of things to cover. So, here we go. Master Xehanort had decided to abandon his pupil Ventus on the Destiny Islands. The boy's heart was fractured, useless, but his heart was saved when a new heart found Ventus and helped him fill the void. Several years passed, and Ventus forgot what had happened. He had found a new home in the Land of Departure, a sacred ground defended by a long line of Keyblade Masters. There, he met 2 other youths named Aqua and Terra, and together they trained with Master Ericus to become Keyblade Masters. Both Aqua and Terra should have been named Keyblade Masters, but Master Xehanort intervened, convincing Ericus to test his pupils with a Mark of Mastery examination. While Aqua passed the test, Terra did not, creating a rift between him and his friends. Shortly after came tidings of Unversed, strange creatures that thrived on negativity, and Master Xehanort had broken off all communication. Terra left to solve both mysteries. Ventus ran away to be with his friend. As for Aqua, Ericus tasked her with keeping Terra under surveillance and bringing Ventus home as soon as possible. Thus their journeys began. During Terra's travels, Master Xehanort whittled away at the young man's ethics, convincing him that darkness and light were equally important, and that a balance must be kept. Elsewhere, Ventus met Mickey, another trainee, and found himself crossing Keyblades with a mysterious masked boy named Vanitas. The 3 friends were reunited in Radiant Garden, but too much had changed. Terra felt betrayed by Ericus and Aqua, and retreated deeper into Xehanort's clutches. Ventus sided with Terra and ran off again, and Aqua was left to deal with a mixture of guilt, concern, and love. Guided by fate, perhaps, Terra arrived at the Destiny Islands and met Riku. He decided to bequeath the power of the Keyblade to this little boy who reminded him so much of himself. Sometime after, Aqua visited these same islands and discovered what Terra had done. She, too, found a kindred spirit in Riku's friend Sora, and told the boy to stick by his friend and guide him even through the darkest of times. Ventus had made a discovery of his own. While rescuing Mickey, he was confronted by Master Xehanort and learned of his connection to the weapon called the Keyblade. Ventus returned to Master Ericus in search of answers about his past, but the truth was a disaster awaiting to happen, and Master Ericus had no choice but to lock his pupil's heart away to keep that disaster contained. Terra arrived just in the nick of time and battled his master to protect his friend. But this was exactly what Master Xehanort had hoped for. Terra watched in horror as his new mentor struck the weakened Ericus down. He had been fooled. Terra tried to move Ventus someplace safe, the Destiny Islands, but Vanitas, the boy with the mask, was already there. "Join with me. Become the Keyblade," he said. And then Ventus remembered the truth. Vanitas was a part of him, the darkness which had been extracted from his heart. Led by Destiny, Terra, Ventus, and Aqua assembled in the Keyblade graveyard. In the distance, Whoops. In the distance, Master Xehanort and Vanitas appeared. A violent clash ensued, and at the end of it, Terra's body was possessed by Xehanort. Meanwhile, Ventus, having been forced into a clash with his counterpart, Vanitas, chose the destruction of them both to prevent the Keyblade from being forged. In the aftermath, Mickey was able to rescue Aqua and Ventus, but Ventus would not awake, and Terra was nowhere to be found. Aqua's journey was not over. Aqua recalled her master's teachings. After finding a safe place for Ventus to rest, she locked the land of departure, which would eventually come to be known as Castle Oblivion. Ventus's heart had been nearly snuffed out, so he retreated to the safety of Sora's heart, the same new heart that had saved him once before. Aqua found and confronted Xehanort, who had possessed Terra's body. After a long fight, Aqua dove into the darkness and sacrificed herself to usher Terra back to the realm of light. Aqua wandered the realm of darkness for a decade before meeting a stranger there. This stranger told her about a certain boy who had become the savior of all worlds. When Aqua heard the boy's name, tears filled her eyes, and her face beamed with hope. So this is the precursor to the first Kingdom Hearts game, obviously. So to sum it up, there are 3 stories. Terra's story explores the darkness within himself and confronting it. Ventus is following after Terra to find his friend. It's kind of more of a happy story. And Aqua is very misleading, often believing that Terra has done terrible, horrible things by choice and not by the happenstance, as is most of the cases. And when they all meet up at the final fight, each of them has their own fights to go through. Ventus has to fight Vanitas, which is the darker half of himself, created by Master Xehanort, who would go on to become Ansem, dark, evil Ansem. So I don't know if this was really... So Xehanort beats Terra and possesses his body and becomes Terranort, as we like to call him. And he goes on to become the apprentice of Ansem the Wise, who would then turn and basically create Organization 13 by making everyone into Heartless and Nobodies. We can go into what that means in the later stories. And so essentially Xehanort is the big bad guy. That's what Birth by Sleep establishes. The big bad evil guy is Xehanort, and he has possessed Terra. Aqua is lost in the land of darkness because she tried to save Terra and it didn't totally work out in the end. And Ventus is asleep, but his heart's inside Sora. Why is that important? Gee, maybe when we get to Kingdom Hearts 2 or 358 over 2 days, we can talk about that a little bit more. Anyway, here's the Kingdom Hearts story. For those of you who want to enjoy, I've already completed Kingdom Hearts, so if you would like to watch that on my channel, feel free to do so, and let me know what you think. It's the first completed game on this channel, so, you know, definitely a fan of people watching that. Anyway, here we go, for those of you who haven't and just want a recap. Kingdom Hearts. Sora, Riku, and Kairi had always dreamed of the outside world. On a beach in the Destiny Islands, the 3 friends began building a raft. One day, a stranger in a brown robe confronted Sora and told him, "This world has been connected." That night, the islands were hit by a storm and engulfed by darkness. Sora found himself in possession of a mysterious key-shaped sword called a Keyblade, and was separated from Riku and Kairi. Other worlds had met the same fate, and more would. Meanwhile, the king of Disney Castle had gone missing. His closest subjects, Donald and Goofy, set off to find someone with a key, just as their liege's farewell letter had instructed. Sora had awoken in a place called Traverse Town, and it was there he learned what was expected of a Keyblade wielder. He joined forces with Donald and Goofy, and the trio continued their search for Riku, Kairi, and King Mickey. Each world they visited had revealed a keyhole which led to the heart of each world, and creatures called Heartless, manifestations of the darkness within us, were trying to get at it. With Keyblade in hand, Sora took down the Heartless and locked the keyholes. Manipulating the Heartless were Maleficent and her League of Villains. Maleficent had tricked Riku into helping her gather the pure hearts of 7 princesses who would grant her dominion over all worlds. By the time Sora caught up with Riku in Hollow Bastion, his friend had succumbed to darkness, but a good thrashing only made things worse. The defeated Riku was possessed by Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. Sora defeated Maleficent and found himself face to face with this greater threat. Ansem was trying to complete the keyhole to a doorway that led to the heart of all worlds, Kingdom Hearts. After discovering Kairi's heart was inside him, Sora tried to release her and turned into a Heartless, but the light in Kairi's heart changed him back. Sora knew he had to close the final keyhole. As a parting gift, Kairi gave him a good luck charm made of thalassa shells to ensure a safe voyage. Sora promised he would return it someday, then set off. He followed Ansem all the way to the heart of the darkness that had swallowed the worlds and defeated him, but Kingdom Hearts had already been opened. Sora was able to close the door again with the help of Riku and King Mickey, who stayed trapped in the realm of darkness on the other side. Sora decided not to return to his home world and began a new journey with Donald and Goofy to find Riku and the King. So that's Kingdom Hearts. You start out on the Destiny Islands, you build a raft because we're gonna go see the world. Darkness comes, Riku leaves, Kairi kind of ends up bonded to Sora, is this whole kind of also important thing, which is made more interesting because throughout the game, at times you see Kairi and then she disappears, or it turns out you're just hallucinating. You're like, what's going on? Why is he seeing Kairi everywhere? And it turns out it's because she's inside of his heart. But it's made extra weird when you consider that there's another dude taking up residence in his heart and he doesn't see or hear that person at all. And Kairi doesn't seem to bring that up or mention it either, that she was sharing vacancy in his heart. Which, I mean, fits his character though, because his whole speech when he fights Riku is you know, my friends are my power, and that makes sense. His heart has the strength to bond itself to other hearts, so yeah, I guess that is his unique ability. Also, what they don't bring up in that about the good thrashing is that Riku's also a Keyblade holder. He actually summons the Kingdom Key that Sora was traveling with, claiming it to be his own. And that's when we get to the speech with Sora about my friends are my power, and then he beats Riku because he has the Kingdom Key back. Or, you know, if you were me way back when the first Kingdom Hearts came out, you used the Olympia Key. And I think I might have still done that this time because it's just a really strong Keyblade. And it's way better than just using the Kingdom Key. Except for that time that I had to use the Kingdom Key because there's a trophy for not changing your equipment. That's not important to this. That's a personal anecdote. Anyway. After Kingdom Hearts, we go to Chain of Memories, another game that is completed on my channel if you're interested in watching it. Sora, Donald, and Goofy had been searching for Riku and King Mickey for some time before Sora came face to face with a man in a black coat who guided them to a place called Castle Oblivion. Have we heard that name before? Perhaps we have. There, the man gave them a card which he said was constructed from Sora's memories. Sora and friends began exploring the worlds within this and other cards like it. Marluxia, the man in the black coat, and a member of the organization, was using the powers of a girl named Naminé to manipulate Sora's memory and take control of Sora's Keyblade. Serving the organization were nobodies, a special type of being created when a person's heart was stolen and only their body and spirit remained. As Sora made his way through the castle, his memories of Kairi were replaced with those of Naminé. He had to fight Riku, who appeared in his dark form and claimed Naminé was his to protect. Sora won out and Riku vanished. One by one, Sora defeated the organization members who stood in his path. One of them, Axel, proved more slippery than the others and seemed to be neither friend nor foe. Sora also learned that Riku he had fought was just a replica, manufactured by the organization. With this Riku replica's help, Sora was able to strike Marluxia down. I don't remember that being the case. In fact, I remember fighting Marluxia in two forms without any help from Replica Riku, so that's a lie. Naminé confessed to Sora what she had done, but he did not hold it against her. She offered him a choice. He could either put his scattered memories back the way they were and lose all memory of this castle, or keep his memories the way they were now. Sora chose to get his old memories back by going into a deep sleep until they could be repaired, but first he promised Naminé she would not be forgotten and that they would meet again. Meanwhile, Riku had found his own way out of the realm between light and darkness. Led by a mysterious voice, he made his way to Castle Oblivion, but the voice turned out to be Ansem's. Riku made his way through the castle, battling Ansem and the darkness within him at every step. The organization had also noticed the darkness in Riku's heart and sought to use it for their own ends. While facing Lexaeus, one of the organization's members, Riku was forced to summon the darkness within him and succumb to it. But somewhere far away, he heard King Mickey call out to him. Knowing King Mickey was watching over him gave Riku the strength to press on through the castle. With the power of darkness proving too great a temptation, Riku again seemed ready to be overtaken by Ansem, but this time, King Mickey came to his rescue in person. The king gave him a special card. Inside the card world, he discovered that the Ansem he had been fighting was actually a man named Diz. The man told Riku to find Naminé and disappeared. Before Riku could reach Naminé, he was confronted by the Riku replica. The real Riku won out, and the replica seemingly vanished. Naminé offered to lock away Riku's memory of Ansem, but Riku knew he had to face the darkness in his heart himself. he prevailed over Ansem and departed Castle Oblivion with Mickey by his side. From then on, he resolved to shoulder both light and darkness and walk the road to dawn. So this game is half, pardon me, Grandma, half ass and half excellent. The ass is Sora's storyline. Sora's storyline. It's just a huge pain, grinding to be strong enough to fight things and to collect cards that you need for the decks that you want, and the combat obviously doesn't live up to the greatness that is the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series because it's limited by cards, and I hate it so much. That being said, Sora's story was fun. Like, reading that little review of it wasn't actually the worst thing that I've ever done. I kind of actually quite enjoyed, like, oh yeah, that's right, I ran around and at the end of the journey got to fight Marluxia after taking down the organization members, not getting to how difficult some of them happen to be, Vexen, but, that's again, personal experiences. So the thing is that Sora's story was a huge pain, a lot of ass, but Riku's story was so much fun. I mean, I still did a lot of grinding because that's just who I am, but the combat, you don't have to wait to reset your cards. You can just hit the button and it just automatically resets, and you don't have to worry about changing out your deck. The only downside is you don't really control what cards you have. I've forgotten if the cards are based on the floor you're on or the world you go to. I'm pretty sure it's set by what world you go to. So each world has basically its own set difficulty, and then the floor will just affect the level of the Heartless you're fighting. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's way better, and I really like Riku's ending, where he decides, Diz asks him in the very end, the path to the left leads to darkness, the path to the right leads to light, which road will you walk? And he says, neither, I'm going to take the road that leads to the dawn. And he's saying that he's, he recognizes his dark past, but he's not going to fall into it, nor is he going to abandon light, because there's strength in both sides. And Mickey has this whole thing, when he descends to help Riku, he talks about how he never knew that darkness could be used for good, and that Riku changed his whole perspective on what darkness is and can be used for. And it's a really cool moment. And so it was worth playing through it. I'm not looking forward to my trophy running to get the platinum, but I'm gonna do it. I want a platinum in every Kingdom Hearts game because I love these games so much. Moving on. 358 over 2 days is happening at the exact same time as, while Chain of Memories is happening. Basically, I should say Chain of Memories happens during 358 over 2 days, because I believe this starts and ends during Chain of Memories run. It would have to. Chain of Memories would exist within it and then be done before this is finished. So here we go. This is one I should mention real quick that I'm not going to be playing through because I don't currently have any way to play a Nintendo DS game and record it. I know that there are emulators out there, but I'm not really looking to figure that out, especially since I heard that a lot of emulator sites got hit and aren't doing so well, so I just, not really looking to figure that out just yet. Maybe someday, but for right now, we're just gonna have to stick with this review. When Roxas first became part of the organization, he spent his days on missions collecting hearts and befriending another member named Axel. However, when Axel was sent to Castle Oblivion on a special mission, Roxas teamed up with the organization's new 14th member, a girl named Xion. Slowly, the two warmed to each other. Once Axel returned from his mission, he, Roxas, and Xion developed a routine of ending each busy day by having ice cream atop the Twilight Town clock tower. There, they talked about work, friendship, their memories, and the meaning of a heart. One day, Xion was ordered to dispatch an imposter Riku, who had donned the organization's robe to protect Sora. But Xion was overpowered and told her Keyblade was a sham. After failing a second mission, she slipped into a coma. When Xion finally awoke, Roxas' daily routine resumed a kind of normalcy, but something in his friend had changed. Slowly, Xion began to question her own existence. On day 255, Xion visited Castle Oblivion and discovered what she was. Roxas waited for Shion at the clock tower, but she never came. The next day, he learned she had deserted the organization. Roxas tracked her down and tried to convince her to return, but Shion drew her keyblade threateningly. It was only once Axel appeared that he and Roxas were able to bring her back by force. After learning some of the truth about Shion, Roxas found his own existence thrown into question. He lost faith in Axel and the organization, who had kept so much hidden from him, and decided to run away. Meanwhile, Shion had tracked down a girl named Namine and decided to return her share of Sora's memories to their owner. Axel hunted her down and made a double-edged promise: keep running, I'll always be there to bring you back. After barely managing to keep that promise, Axel collapsed, and Xemnas, the organization's leader, took Shion away. Aimlessly, Roxas found himself wandering toward the clock tower. There, Shion revealed herself to not be a her at all, but a faceless puppet that the organization had created as a cage for Sora's memories. The last of those memories were inside Roxas, Sora's nobody, and were inside Roxas, Sora's nobody, and she would have to take them from him to become a complete Sora replica. The two fought, and Shion got her wish. She was defeated. As the memories that made her up returned to Sora, she ceased to exist and vanished from the minds of all who knew her. Confused and angry, Roxas decided to challenge Xemnas and the organization, free the hearts they had collected, and destroy Kingdom Hearts. But Roxas was not strong enough to win, and if he fell there, Sora would never awaken, so Riku confronted him. In his mind, Riku heard the last wish of a girl whose name he could not remember: to stop Roxas. He nearly failed and had to allow the darkness in his heart to take over before he was able to subdue Roxas. A boy named Roxas woke up in his room in Twilight Town after having another strange dream. Excited, he ran off to meet his friends at their usual spot. Only 7 days of summer vacation left. So, 358 over 2 days is the story of Sora's Nobody. Now, we kind of touched on Nobodies a little bit with Chain of Memories, and I brought it up in Birth by Sleep. So when a person is turned into a Heartless, the Heartless is formed from the heart, ironically, I guess, which leaves a body behind. Without a heart, a body just kind of becomes a husk, and we refer to it as a nobody. So the nobody just kind of exists. They look really freaky, except for ones with strong wills and personalities. They can maintain their own shape and are what become the Organization 13. Roxas is Sora's nobody. When Sora had to release Kairi's heart from his body so that she could live again, he turned himself into a Heartless. By turning into a Heartless, he made a nobody. And because Ventus was staying in his heart, for some reason, Roxas ended up looking like Ventus instead of Sora, which I think adds an extra layer of, does that mean that Sora's Heartless had two hearts, and or does Ventus have a Heartless out there somewhere because Sora released his own heart? The only reason why I ask that is because Namine is in fact Kairi's Heartless. I don't know if they're going to mention it in Kingdom Hearts 2 or not, but I'm just going to spoil that for you right now because that's the whole point of this. When Roxas was born, a twin was essentially made out of Namine, who doesn't have an X in her name because she's not part of the organization. She wasn't indoctrinated by Xemnas, and so he didn't take the name Kairi and twist it around and put an X in there. And I think part of that is because Namine's special. Nobodies are supposed to be made from the bodies left behind. Kairi already had a body that was left behind, but because she can't actually be made into a Heartless, because her heart is pure light, and therefore there's no darkness to form into a Heartless, a nobody shouldn't have been created. So I guess that actually kind of adds up when you think about it. Sora's body, I guess, was used for two, Kairi's heart mixed with his body to make Namine, and I guess Ventus's heart must have mixed with Sora to make Roxas. That's my only guess that I can think of. Otherwise, nothing really makes sense there. But so she's a special existence. She's a nobody that doesn't actually have a body or a Heartless. She's unique and shouldn't exist, but she does. And that's something that a lot of characters in the series keep bringing up and rubbing her face, and I don't agree with that. I think that obviously she was supposed to exist. She's very important and has a unique ability with Sora's memories, and not just Sora's memories. I mean, they were taking away Donald and Goofy's memories too, although allegedly the memories are supposed to be lost because of Castle Oblivion, not because of Naminé. Naminé should have been the one altering Sora's memories to include Naminé, but the loss of memories should have just been Castle Oblivion, which raises a lot of questions because Riku doesn't lose any memories, and maybe it's just because he was in the basement. I don't know. The point of the memory loss, as explained at the end of Birth by Sleep, is because Ventus's body is sitting there, and I guess Castle Oblivion is meant to confuse the people who wander its halls so that they can... Basically, nobody should be able to find Ventus except Aqua, because she's the one with the key that can turn Castle Oblivion back into the Land of Departure. That's just kind of what that comes down to. So here we are, Kingdom Hearts 2, which I am still in the middle of recording and uploading, and it will probably be a while before I get around to this again because Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be so good. But while we wait for me to finish playing it, let's just cover the whole story. Roxas woke up in his room in Twilight Town after having another strange dream. Only 7 days left in his summer vacation, and he would be spending them with his best friends. But strange things began happening around him. White monsters called Dusks attacked. A key-shaped sword called the Keyblade materialized in his hand. On the last day of his vacation, Roxas remembered who he really was and what he had been trying to do. He found Sora sleeping in a pod and realized his summer vacation would have to end. With Roxas's demise, the last of Sora's memories returned to him, and he woke from a year of sleep. It was a joyful reunion with Donald and Goofy, who had stuck by him all through his slumber. Jiminy examined their journal, a record of their last journey, but it was blank except for a single phrase: "Thank Naminé." With King Mickey's guidance, the group found their way to the mysterious tower, whose master, the sorcerer Yen Sid, alerted them to a new threat: nobodies, who served a group dressed in black coats known as Organization 13. And so it was that Sora, Donald, and Goofy set off on a new adventure. In Hollow Bastion, Sora was reunited with his old friends and learned that the Heartless were still causing trouble. While dealing with them and the nobodies, Sora had his first encounter with the organization since waking. While chasing its members from world to world, he learned that Kairi had been kidnapped by the organization back in Twilight Town. On a second visit to Hollow Bastion, Sora and friends found themselves trapped inside a computer owned by Ansem the Wise. They repaired the program and returned to the real world, where they were finally reunited with King Mickey. And boy, did he have a surprise to share. It turned out the Ansem Sora had fought and defeated was not really Ansem at all. Ansem the Wise had an apprentice named Xehanort, who turned into a Heartless. Again, Xehanort, as we'd covered before, is the old guy who possessed Terra and then lost his memories while battling Aqua, and now he's become a Heartless and a nobody. This Heartless stole his master's name, Ansem, while the nobody that was created in the process, Xemnas, Ansem, rewritten with an X in it, became the leader of the organization. During an epic battle with the Heartless, Sora finally got a glimpse of this new adversary. Sora's search for Kairi brought him back to Twilight Town. By using the alternate version of the town where Roxas spent his summer vacation, Sora and the others found a way into the realm of darkness. However, along the way, they were ambushed by a horde of Dusks. Axel, one of the organization's members, came to the rescue and sacrificed himself to protect Sora, who was, in a way, also his best friend Roxas. At last, Sora had reached Organization 13's homeworld, the world that never was. He infiltrated the castle, leaving defeated organization members in his wake, and finally found Kairi. He was also reunited with Riku, who had been transfigured into Ansem as a result of using the darkness within him. Thankfully, Riku's true form was restored. They met the real Ansem the Wise, who had assumed the name Diz, and whose blind quest for vengeance against the apprentices who had betrayed him had brought ruin to Roxas and countless others. Realizing the error of his ways, Ansem the Wise blew up the organization's Kingdom Hearts as atonement and was himself engulfed in the blast. Atop the castle, near what remained of Kingdom Hearts, Sora and the others confronted and defeated Xemnas. Naminé opened a gateway home. Symbolically, she and Roxas accepted their place within Sora and Kairi, the people they had come from. As Sora and Riku tried to follow Kairi and the others out, the gate suddenly closed. Xemnas had survived, and Sora and Riku were flung into a final battle. They were able to dispatch Xemnas, but there was no escape from the realm of darkness. At the dark margin, they stared out to sea, ready to give up, but then a letter in a bottle washed up. It was from Kairi. A door to the light appeared, leading them back to their home, the Destiny Islands, where all their friends were waiting. Not long after, Sora and Riku were watching the sunset when Kairi presented them with a letter she had found. Whatever was in the letter convinced the three of them that their journey was not over. So, there you go. Kingdom Hearts 2, Roxas goes back to Sora. Sora goes on a journey, and a lot of fighting happens, and eventually we beat the nobodies. Yay, we did it! We we stopped Kingdom Hearts from being opened a second time because Xemnas' plan was to build an artificial Kingdom Hearts from the hearts. I guess when a Keyblade beats a Heartless, the heart just kind of... It's supposed to go back, if it has a nobody that's also beaten, they go back to being human or a somebody, I guess. They start living again. They combine and reform. But without being the nobodies, the hearts were just kind of floating around, and so Xemnas was somehow able to gather these floating hearts and was building an artificial Kingdom Hearts from the hearts of others. And that's why he kept sending Heartless at Sora, because he was really hoping that he would collect enough hearts for them to make their artificial hearts, or whatever, so that all the nobodies could have feelings, which, you know, weird plan, since Axel and Roxas clearly show that they have feelings, but they say that they don't, and that's a whole other thing. We'll get into once we start talking about Dream Drop. Here we have Recoded. Recoded, much like 358 over 2 days, not an actual game that I own. I do have, because I have the 1.5, 2.5 collection, both of these are unlocked for just their video content, but I feel like uploading that on its own would be really unfair. I'm sure other people have done it, and you can watch that there if you really want to. I'm not going to, because I just, you know, I don't really think that I can add anything to them. So instead, we'll just read about it. Jiminy was surprised to find a mysterious message in one of his journals, which was supposed to be blank. Their hurting will be mended when you return to end it. To help better understand the message, King Mickey created a datascape from the worlds within the journal, but the datascape was riddled with bugs, and the king had to rely on the digital version of Sora to debug the journal from the inside. While exploring the Destiny Island's datascape, a figure in a black coat explained that uncovering the keyholes was the only way to mend the worlds. Sora found the keyhole in Traverse Town and used it to reach the next world. As he did, a new message appeared in the journal back at Disney Castle, and the king was alarmed to discover the castle had been invaded by Heartless. Worse yet, he and the others were now trapped in the library. Again, Sora came face to face with the figure in the black coat, and this time, when he followed the stranger, he found himself in the same room as King Mickey and the others. How had they wound up in the same place? The figure in the black coat turned out to be a digital version of Riku who explained what was going on. He had been chosen by the journal as backup storage to protect its data. Now Riku and the journal were one and the same, and he had brought Mickey and the others into the datascape to help solve the mysterious message. Just then, someone took over the pathway between the datascape and the real world. There was no way out. Sora set off to repair more worlds and secure a way home for his friends. It turned out Maleficent and her henchman, Pete, were the culprits. They were plotting to release the darkness inside the datascape into the real world. Sora tried to stop her, but she destroyed his Keyblade and kidnapped Riku. The king went after Riku, and Sora went after the king. Sora's friendship with Donald and Goofy gave him the power to recreate the Keyblade. Pete had infected Riku with bugs and tried to pit the two friends against each other, but after a short fight, the infected Riku collapsed. Sora dove into Riku's datascape to save his friend and defeated Maleficent inside. However, it wasn't until he took out his own Heartless, the original bug which was threatening to delete the whole datascape, that the journal was finally restored. But because restoring the journal was tantamount to overriding all record of this new's journey, Data Sora and King Mickey had to say goodbye. However, the mysterious message was still a mystery. Back in the real world, King Mickey and the others received a message from Data Riku that extra data had been found. They would need Data Sora's help one last time. The extra data was a special world designed to make Sora learn how to cope with hurt. When Data Sora was finally ready to accept that hurt, Naminé appeared before him. She explained that inside him were special memories that belonged to people connected to the real Sora, people who were hurting. The mysterious message was her way of reaching out to him and preparing him for that truth. King Mickey promised Naminé that they would undo all the hurt. Back in the real world, he wrote a letter to the real Sora and explained there were others out there that only Sora could save. And that's the story that leads you to the record that leads to, you know, Sora's getting the letter from King Mickey. Also, if you were curious what happened to the Heartless at the end of Kingdom Hearts, because Sora just becomes Sora without really dealing with the Heartless or his nobody, apparently his Heartless escaped into the journal, so that was out there, which, again, Roxas was never technically beaten, but he's been absorbed, and the Heartless has been defeated, which makes you wonder, is it possible for a second Sora to be created, or, like, Super Sora to come out of this? I don't know. It's complicated. Another thing that I don't remember being brought up in the Kingdom Hearts discussion here was that Riku gets his official Keyblade, Way to Dawn, and it's beautiful. I love it so much, and I'd show it to you right... Oh, wait. I think I might be able to... No, I can't show you. I can only show you his stats. I can't... Ah, why can't I play around with his equipment? That's not fair. That's not fair at all. Anyway, yeah, Riku's Keyblade is gorgeous, and I love it so much. I guess we'll just have to save that as a surprise for 3, where I assume we'll see it, and then obviously Kingdom Hearts 2 when I get around to that point. But it's a beautiful Keyblade. He gets a Keyblade, and actually Kairi gets one as well, and that's one of those things that I think is really kind of neat. Oh, no, wait, there it is. Way to Dawn. Look, it's got a Heartless keychain on it, and it's his Soul Eater sword, but with a couple of angel wings on it, because he's moving with the light and the darkness, and I think that's just... Oh, it's so beautiful. Anyway, yeah, so he gets his Keyblade, and then he actually gets one, and he hands it to Kairi, and the importance of that is... you know, Kairi is a Keyblade wielder as well. All 3 of them have a Keyblade. I don't know what Kairi's means, because, like, Mickey has gone to the Realm of Darkness, and that's where his Keyblade came from, is it's like the Realm of Darkness's Keyblade. I don't know why the Realm of Darkness had a Keyblade, but it did, and he has that. The Kingdom Key, Sora's key, is the Key of Light. Obviously, the Realm of Light, and that's why Sora and Mickey's Keyblades are opposite colors, I guess. You know, Mickey's has a silver handle and a golden metal bit, and I think it's got a golden Mickey head as well. And then Riku's is, you know, the world that never was, so his is the world between light and darkness, which fits his fighting style. Kairi's doesn't make sense. I don't know where it comes from or what it's supposed to represent. It might not represent anything, honestly. Like, I think that when we were introduced to these 3 Keyblades at first, it really overcomplicated things, and I think that's what Birth by Sleep really helps with, is, you know, we don't really have to worry so much about, okay, yeah. We don't have to worry so much about, you know, why they have Keyblades, what they represent, because I'm pretty sure Terra, Ventus, Aqua, even, well, that's not true. Xehanor's actually does have an important purpose as established by the phone game, which I don't have a story to review for you. Unfortunately, all I can tell you is that his Keyblade is inherited from a line of the original Keyblade Masters, and it has an eyeball in it that the first, like, creator of Keyblades is able to use to spy on the world, and so he wrote this Book of Prophecies by watching the world through that eye and seeing how things went and writing down in a book where everything was going to go because of it. So, you know, fun things. So yeah, Kairi's got a Keyblade. And the cool theory people have pointed out is that, you know, when Riku was supposed to get his Keyblade because Terra passed one on to him, and Sora ended up with it because Riku fell into darkness, then he was the delivery boy, and he gave it to Riku only to lose it from Riku because, you know, my friends are my power. But the really fun thing is, then Riku ends up with a Keyblade that was meant for Kairi as she was needing it, and he gave it to her, so he also became a delivery boy. And I think that's a fun little fan theory that's basically confirmed if you watch the scene. So here we've got the story for Dream Drop. I'm going to just skip over all of the extra stuff and go straight to the important one, which is the world that never was. Now that Queen Minnie was safe, King Mickey and friends returned to Yen Sid's tower with a guest. Lee seemed to want something from Yen Sid. With Xehanort's return drawing ever closer, the sorcerer was forced to take drastic measures, and so he agreed to Lee's request. King Mickey and the others were now worried about Sora and Riku, but Yensid insisted that the two were still out of Xehanort's reach. After discussing various possibilities, the king stumbled upon the truth. Having given up his body, Xehanort was taking advantage of the period of time when a version of him had possessed Riku. He had been manipulating events all along. The king set off to rescue Sora and Riku. After unlocking the 7 sleeping keyholes, Sora found himself in the same world where Organization 13 had once held its stronghold. None of it made any sense. Xigbar appeared and revealed that Sora had been lured here, before plunging him into a deep sleep. The gray-haired youth explained that it had all begun when he was approached by a man in a brown robe, Ansem. Later, when the Destiny Islands were about to be swallowed by darkness, that same Ansem possessed Riku. Traverse Town. Sora had been here many times before. He saw King Mickey and the others run by. When Sora chased after them, he found Naminé around the corner, except it wasn't Naminé at all, but some other girl in a black coat. Tears formed on Sora's cheeks for reasons he could not understand. Before he could reach the girl, his vision blurred. So just covering stuff up until now, Sora and Riku have gone out on a mission to earn their Mark of Mastery, the same test that sent Terra on the path of being possessed by Xehanort, and Aqua to become a master who would replace Ericus. Their Mark of Mastery exam was to unlock these 7 sleeping worlds which were left behind after Sora had saved all the worlds at the end of Kingdom Hearts, the first game. But it turns out that as soon as they left on their adventure to this world, a minion of Ansem had grabbed Sora and taken him into his own dream world where they could possess him and basically make him do whatever they needed. And Riku, in order to protect Sora, has become... They're called Dream Eaters, and so he's been running around Sora's dream world. So Sora, I think, has been in the actual world of dreams, but he's been put on a course set by the members of Organization 13. And Riku has just been running around Sora's dreams, trying to protect him while they're trying to control him from the outside. It's a whole lot of mess. And right here, the girl in the black coat is Xion, whose memories were supposed to be lost when they were given back to Sora, but Sora, being the incredible heart softy that he is, still feels for Xion and cries. And I feel too, because that's where Sora gets his second Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 2, is Xion. Her sacrifice, her existence, led to the creation of a second Keyblade, and for whatever reason, that, plus maybe the fact that Sora's got Ventus's heart inside of him, lets him use 2 Keyblades, and that's crazy. Maybe that's the super power-up he gets from having a nobody and a heartless, but, you know, also existing, is he gets a second Keyblade. There's a lot of potential reasons for the second Keyblade. I like thinking it was Xion, because it makes her character have actual meaning instead of just being a weird puppet that doesn't exist anymore. He spotted someone in a black coat and called out to the figure, but this time it turned out to be Roxas. Roxas took Sora's hand, and all the hurt he had suffered lanced through Sora's memory. Next, Sora saw Riku and Kairi, except they weren't Riku and Kairi. They were 2 strangers. They seemed kind, but called him Ven. Sora no longer looked like himself. He reached out to take the strangers' hands, but now they were Riku and Kairi again, and they were leaving him behind. He tried to catch them, but his legs were heavy. He could barely move. After a blinding flash, Sora found himself in his own past, when he was still little. Then the vision swooped away, as though he was being dragged out of it. Had those all been illusions? They were dreams, explained Xigbar. He and Xemnas went on to reveal other surprises, that nobodies could have hearts after all, and that the organization had been established for a greater purpose. Though shaken, Sora put his faith in the Keyblade and stood strong. The gray-haired youth pointed to the sigil on Sora's chest, which had allowed them to keep tabs on him. Sora, he explained, was destined to be the 13th vessel they needed. Sora called Riku's name as he sank into the dark abyss. A single ray of light chased him down, down, down. Right before the darkness enveloped him completely, an aura of light appeared and clad him in armor, thus protected his body, reclined in the darkness's embrace. So, following up on that, Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts 2 was a fake organization. The true organization is made by Xehanort, who has basically put his weird yellow eyes into anyone that's willing to become a member of the true organization, which allows him to, like, control them, and he wants to have his own Organization 13 because the Keyblade he was trying to make in Birth by Sleep is made up of 20 parts, 7 light, 13 darkness. You figure if he controls all 13 parts of the darkness, the 13 Seekers of Darkness, then he can control that half of the Keyblade when it's being put together, while the 7 Guardians of Light, we're not technically sure which is the group, we assume Sora and Mickey, because, you know, they're both pretty solid choices there. And maybe Riku, but he's Dawn, not Light, so I don't know. And even Mickey technically uses a Keyblade of Darkness, so that's iffy. But then, you know, other options we have are like Aqua, Ventus, Roxas, Terra technically could all be potential. But then there's also Kairi, now has a Keyblade, so she could be one. And I thought it would be revealed here, but let's look through Riku's and see what comes up there. Now that Queen Minnie was safe, King Mickey and friends returned to Yen Sid's tower with a guest. Lee seemed to want something from Yen Sid. Oh, by the way, Lee is Axel, who has come back to life. He was introduced technically in 2, but, you know, you meet Lee in Birth by Sleep when he's a kid and he's friends with Ventus, which, you know, leads to him being friends with Roxas, because obviously he's going to keep being friends with him, even though Roxas is much younger than Lee. Or Axel. Not, well, yeah, it would have been 10 years since then, and I don't think Roxas has, well, no, Roxas should be the same age as, so I don't know. I don't know how old Lee is, to be totally honest. Like, he's 10 years older than he was, so there's probably like 10 years difference between the two of them at that point. Anyway, Lee seemed to want, this is all the same thing as before. King Mickey and the others were now very worried about Sora and Riku, but Yen Sid insisted that the two were still out of Xehanort's reach. After discussing various possibilities, King stumbled upon the truth. Having given up his body, Xehanort was taking advantage of the period. Yeah. We already done that one. After unlocking the seven sleeping keyholes, Riku found a spectral version of Sora trapped inside some sort of bubble. He tried to wake his friend, but a personification of Sora's nightmares, a figure in a black coat, approached from behind. Yeah, that was a tough fight. He defeated the nightmare and kept calling to Sora, but it was Ansem who responded and dragged Riku into the darkness for a final confrontation. Ansem explained that Riku had unknowingly dove into Sora's dreams and become a dream eater, but he would be of no help to his friend so long as he kept the darkness inside him in check. Riku agreed, but rather than give in to Ansem and accept the darkness, Riku decided to return it to light once and for all. He drew his Keyblade. After Ansem was defeated, Riku awoke in the real world, but his Dream Eater powers remained. With the help of some spirits, he was able to reach Sora. Sora was seated on one of the organization's 13 thrones, but the gray-haired youth knocked Riku away before he could get to his friend. The youth revealed that Organization 13's true purpose was to transfer the heart of Xehanort into 13 worthy vessels. Now Sora was about to become the last of those vessels. As if to drive this point home, 12 other figures materialized and filled the other seats. The youth revealed his identity. He was Xehanort's boyhood form. Just as he was gesturing to the highest seat of them all, King Mickey appeared and stopped time. He tried to rescue Sora, but someone lashed out at the king and knocked him away. Young Xehanort was able to move even when time was stopped. He and Riku fought. No sooner had Riku bested the youth than time started to flow again, and Master Xehanort appeared in the highest seat. He told Riku and King Mickey about the 7 Guardians of Light and 13 Seekers of Darkness who were destined to clash and forge the Keyblade. They were too late. Master Xehanort's heart was snaking its way towards Sora, and Xemnas and Ansem were barring the way. Just then, a blaze of fire stopped Xehanort's heart from reaching Sora. Lee had arrived right in the nick of time. The king and Riku were so shocked that they nearly forgot they were in danger, but Donald and Goofy arrived in a flash of light to save the day. Master Xehanort had failed to claim Sora, but he assured all present that the clash between light and darkness was imminent. Then he and the other 12 members of the real Organization 13 dematerialized and returned whence they came. So there you go. Big confrontation. Riku and everybody managed to save Sora from becoming a member of Darkness, and they escape. The Mysterious Tower, I'm not even going to read that one, I'm just going to summarize it. Riku uses his ability to dive into Sora's dreams that he's just kind of unlocked to re-enter Sora's dreams, and he beats Ventus's armor, which is protecting Sora from the darkness that was going to possess him and turn him into a member, into a 13th Xehanort. Which means that we've already got 12 Xehanorts, and I don't know if 3 is going to have a 13th established, or if they're still going to be gunning for Sora. Honestly, I'm kind of cool with Sora becoming a Xehanort. I'd be very interested to see them turn him into a villain, because while Riku started out in darkness and has been raising himself up to light, Sora has constantly been falling into darkness. The first game, he becomes a Heartless. The second game, he loses his memory and kind of betrays all of his friends. I mean, not second, but, Chain of Memories. The second game, he gets this ability to transform forms, and he has an anti-Sora form. There's an anti-form where he constantly turns into a Heartless version of himself. So the darkness isn't gone from Sora at all. And this game, I think, really brings to light that there's a strong potential of him becoming a villain. I don't honestly think he's going to, because it's mixed with Disney, and as much as it sucks to say it's a kid's game, it's technically a game for people that are younger audience, even though the people who have been playing it have waited a decade and we're all adults at this point for this next game. I'm really not anticipating a big, whoa, oh my god, they made the hero into a villain twist, but man, would that be cool. Anyway, Riku dives inside and he saves Sora, and he earns his Mark of Mastery by proving that he can go into dreams and awaken people, which is important because Ventus is asleep and we don't know what happened to Aqua. So Riku's mission is now to be, he's got to go and wake up Ventus and find Aqua so that we can have more members for the Guardians of Light, because as much as we don't want to forge a Keyblade, we have to have our 7 in order to protect against the 13. Which kind of sucks now that I think about it, because Donald and Goofy don't have Keyblades, so they're not going to be part of the 7 Guardians, which means I'm probably not going to need to expect them to help me during the big final fight, which I assume will be 7 on 13. Things that I'm just predicting, but don't actually know about in the coming game. Other really cool thing, at the very end of this, Lee talks about how he wasn't sure how to show up or what to do. He was sorry he was late. He just couldn't get the summoning right. What's he talking about? Oh, it turns out Lee's also been chosen by the Keyblade. He's got a fire chakram-based Keyblade, and it looks pretty neat, to be totally honest. And I'm a big fan of Lee getting a Keyblade because he's another really, really hot boy in this series, and he's a cool character, and I'm really excited to see him grow in this next game, and it's gonna be so good, you guys. Oh my god. And that's Kingdom Hearts. That everything we know right now. One last thing. There is one final game. 2.2 Birth by Sleep, 0.2, something like that. And I'm planning to do that as a test stream. By the time this comes up, should be before I start streaming that, I hope. But I'm gonna be streaming that just to run through it, partly to make sure that my streams will work, and partly to make sure that well, no, that's pretty much it. And then I'm gonna cover up what I don't know about the game with that. All I know is the very end of that. It's revealed that because of the events of Dream Drop Distance, Sora's level has reset back to 1 because, I don't know, something about falling into darkness broke his bonds with his friends yet again, which is a very convenient excuse to have us start out at level 1 a third time. But we're going to Mount Olympus as our very first level. It was confirmed in that story that Sora needs to go to Olympus in order to learn from Hercules what it's like to be a hero who falls to nothing and goes back. Because that's Kingdom Hearts 2. Hercules has a moment where he's lost his powers because he doesn't feel like he's a hero anymore, and at the end of the Olympus Coliseum storyline in Kingdom Hearts 2, he saves Meg and becomes a hero once more. So we're hoping Hercules can help Sora get his mojo back. That's where we're at. That's everything that I can think of. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below, or, you know, let them come up as we make other Kingdom Hearts videos. I'm really excited to be moving on with the series. I hope you're excited too. I will see you all next time. Until then, take care, everybody.